Damien sat on the Juggernaut, an industrial ship, with a dwarf in a classroom lounge. He had worked here for the last 8 years. When he saw Galen and tried to enter, he drove the system to diagnose it externally. They were errants, bee-footed animal species. Damien stood and dipped slightly, raising his head and opening his arms, replicating the traditional Girian greeting. The two exchanged greetings before sitting down. "Good morning, Damien. What are you doing here alone?" Galen asked, glancing at the performance statistics and ship diagnostics. Damien responded casually, looking into performance stats and ship diagnostics. Trace looked around. "From here?" "How?" she questioned. "Oh, that's right. Before I had a neural interface, you probably didn't notice," Damien replied. "It allows me to see and control some of the ship systems." He turned his head, revealing the neural interface behind his right ear. "Very convenient," Galen remarked. "You think you're part machine, but it works," Damien shrugged. Damien scanned the port with concern. "Do all the workers have neural interfaces?" "Oh no. I only have it because I was a soldier." "You don't seem like a soldier," Galen commented, his face flushing as he tried to clarify. I mean, no offense. None taken," Damien replied with a small laugh. "I wasn't much of a soldier in the traditional sense, at least not anymore." He paused, thinking. "I was a pilot during the First Contact War." Both men were stunned. Few had heard of the First Contact War, humanity's grand debut in the galaxy. Galen looked at him with curiosity. "How rude of me to ask," Galen said apologetically, but Damien stopped him. "If you really want to know, I'll tell you." Both stopped and looked at him, heads tilted and eyes wide in surprise. "Before I do, please understand that this is our past. We're not like that now," Damien cautioned. His usual smile was gone, replaced by a serious tone. Galen and Trace nodded, leaning forward to listen. The Nufxi were a nomadic race, scattered across the galaxy. They were once a dominant force, controlling a trade and relay system spanning 4 galaxies, 26 planets in total. Damien began, gesturing to a star map displayed on the table. The map showed star systems, highlighting the boundaries the Nufxi once occupied. Humanity was a new race when the Nufxi arrived. We had colonized 2 other planets in our home system. Semi-permanent colonies and research stations were established at 2 other locations. We had even started building structures around our home planet, Damien explained, changing the view to an image of the older home systems. We were a humble species, working hard and moving forward gradually, but steadily. We had discovered life on some planets, albeit microscopic. This discovery reignited humanity's passion for exploration, and we began to think about what might be out there. Additional solar exploration missions were being seriously discussed. The future looked bright, he continued. Animated scenes of humanity's progress throughout the solar system flashed on HoloView. Galen smiled, his eyes twinkling, but Trace sensed no joy in Damien's words. His tone grew stern, almost ominous. "We never had a chance to be alone. We had long wondered what it would be like to encounter another race for the first time. Stories and fantasies abounded, but no one imagined it would happen this way," Damien said as the HoloView focused on Neptune Manura 1, the largest astronomical research center ever built. It consisted of over 100 observatories, working together as a planet-sized telescope for ultra-deep space observations. Damien smiled proudly, clenching his fists, but his expression darkened as the vision descended into chaos. Scenes of destruction, pain, and devastation filled the HoloView. They struck without warning. No attempt at communication, no compassion, nothing. They cleared the Earth and built their own harvesting facilities. "They began exploiting Earth," Damien said, his voice heavy with emotion. 17,576, that was the number. He let the number hang in the air before continuing. "Humanity once hoped for the best. We are optimists, after all, but we always prepare for the worst. We knew this force posed a massive threat to the future of all humanity, so we withdrew our research stations, abandoned our colonies, evacuated our resources, and somehow assembled the greatest minds of our time. This was a significant leap forward. Research stations throughout the solar system became a collective effort, their destruction seen as an attack on humanity itself. In less than 2 months, factions signed the broadest peace and cooperation agreements in human history. For the first time, we were united, our efforts fueled by unspeakable acts of aggression," Damien said. Factories and production facilities were established in record time. Research centers flourished. Every ship capable of space travel was modified and equipped with improvised weapons. We knew we couldn't fight directly, not yet, so we focused on gathering information. Damien concluded as the Holoview displayed early human attacks. Armored vehicles, cargo planes, and reconnaissance drones provided a fast and furious force against the FXI fleet. One enemy ship was removed before the temporary human warship disappeared. Once again, we initially suffered great losses, but we reached a large number of techs and entered our production center. Soon, the first real human fleet was born. The first generation of Starfleet aviators took to the skies where they had never flown before. It lasts a long time. Early repetitions of neural interfaces put a lot of stress on the nervous system. Each soldier, of course, knew the sacrifice they were making and made it without hesitation. The ships on display were crudely built, heavy and rudimentary versions of Nephi's cruisers, which the lady had looked upon as the first pilots. He reflexively touched his Nile port as he watched the human fleet sail through the solar system. At that time, we had them. After evolution, they have spread over Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter. They also began harvesting the outer reaches of the asteroid belt. So we struck at the most vital point. We severed supply lines and stared them out. We learned about subspace communication and worked to decipher and scatter it. We shut down their factories and left them vulnerable. Most importantly, we learned that we learned more with each match. Every victory gave us more skills, and every failure strengthened our resolve. In the end, FXI was thrown out. The solar system is ours. The sun shines for our new civilization to cure. He wants the story to end there, but history is constant and unbearable. We took the power and resources that FXI sought to usurp and took them from one system to another, burning everything in our path. We even took some inspiration from them and transformed the captured worlds. Factories the size of planetary shipyards, the size of moons. Soon we found ourselves on the galactic stage. Standing in front of the interspecies compact stages of the galactic stage, people quickly played, received official recognition from the delegation, and trade agreements and treaties were signed. We were very adaptable people. We quickly incorporated and even improved most technologies. We have received many resources, and we have a large number of products that can be marketed. Our cultural exports have become the most needed in the contract, and we have a reputation for depth. Wells brought us respect and hostility. We are denser, stronger, and stronger than most people. We can withstand and survive other deadly encounters under different conditions. The same things that make us disgusting also make us indispensable. So when the issue of attacks on FXI is brought to our attention, some rush to their defense. The sound of Kate's meeting rang out, and Nay's representative stepped forward to speak. Nay prepares to formally recognize the newly formed human delegation as full members of the Interspecies Compact. So we are ready to take military action against their species and hand over the currently occupied world to the newest member of our prestigious alliance. All in all, it is a good deal, and humanity has won many over in the pact. After proving itself as a useful asset in the galaxy and serving several highly profitable worlds for its development, most people will be happy with the deal, but humans have a habit of making exceptions. The human representative stepped forward, and his name and rank appeared next to his hollow form. He was a general in the human navy. Nephi spoke quietly and quickly in front of him. 17573 is the first sentence he said. Then FXI looks confused. Confused chatter filled the Senate, but quickly died down as he continued. Humans have always been as complex as they are simple. Whatever you give us, we give it back 1 billion times over. We welcome all species with open arms, and as long as they kindly invite us to do business with us, we will certainly arrange the terms that best suit all parties. Share your technology with us, we will improve mass production and give it all and more. You trust us, we will protect you from all dangers, support you in all your endeavors. Talk to us, we will share with you everything we know, become our friends, and we will love you as our brothers and sisters. The Senate began to hum, hopefully. Some species that had already formed with humanity let out cheers. The head of the chamber had to call a meeting to silence the pleasant Rabelais, who had formed a human representative. Suddenly, his body stiffened and his eyes darkened. He straightened up and looked at them. But if you join us and become our enemies, we will bring hell upon you again. The Senate was silent. A terrible aura came from the general and entered the Senate floor. Tell me, Nephi, that your people offered us an antenna that moved. And the general did not wait for the answer. He stood with his console and showed the destruction, never alone before the Senate, 17,576. He repeated 17.573 civilians, 17,576 innocent lives, 17,573 human souls. You offer us fire and ash, death and destruction, cruelty and cruelty. We'll give it back to you 1 billion times over. He held up another picture at the console. It was through this meeting that humanity declared war on Neftsi. The senators began to chatter, and the speaker called for order. The image faded, and the lady caught Hall's vision and reconnected. Interestingly, by that point, humanity had actually officially declared war on Nay. That's when I was born. Like many people at the time, I was raised as a warrior from birth when I first met Kara Galen and tried to look at him with some mixture of apprehension and fear. We grew up with hate. Nephi told us that they would come back to destroy us all. One day, they will eat us and burn our world. If we don't fight, it's obvious, tweeting, unreal, Galen yelling, Damien shrugging. It's real to us when we're 13 years old being trained with neural implants, which helps us get through the worst workouts. We gained control of the First Fleet by 1800 hours. Orin's main feathers were ruffled by the war, and there was nothing to worry about. These implants are not as bad as previous generations. In fact, newer models are designed to evolve using our local AI-developed codes that are customized for each pilot. Let's control the entire fleet as easily as we move our bodies. The human brain is like a supercomputer. If you know how to interpret the data, then Galen Tread is gone and maybe doesn't want to complete our idea of deleting them. Damien finished it for him. We severely sanctioned any race that aided them and destroyed any ship that supplied them. We offer them neither forgiveness nor mercy. Why would combat allow these things to have hard rules? Tress seemed upset at this point and Damien quit, but there was definitely a lot of support from Nay, who would have just stood by and watched the match get ruined. The more she talked, the more depressed she became. The lady lowered her head and said 2 words, psychological warfare. Agorian both bowed their heads and asked in unison. Humans have been at war with each other since before we could use fire. We have become very good at using fire, but Nephi has become a particularly dangerous weapon for us. Empty opinions and streams of data, eyewitnesses, and serious victims. The Nay are bellicose expansionists, and Greeley seeks to step an innocent race in their path and use their honor to rule the galaxy in chaos. No one will come to help them. Bergera looks like Mord. The lady said you have this feeling now. We also feel. I feel that he himself rides the horse and continues every day. We fought them back to their home system and then back to their home world. I was not part of the fleet that conquered their homeland. I stood near the outer edge to make sure no ship escaped his voice as he wrote with bated breath. The entire war lasted 136 years and ended in an instant. All mankind has been fighting for more than a century. One goal, and we had it. He stared at the 2 of them, they stared back, and the fate of the Nephite tries finally broke. The silence, who knows Damon, turned away you. I would guess Galen kept his eyes fixed on Damon. As I said before, galactic nomads. They remain largely spread throughout the galaxy, hated and despised by the rest. The closer a given race is to humanity, the more they hate them. He spoke ugly. He stood and went to the bathroom door. I have to go back to my station. He crossed his arms and bowed to Yi Xian. He muttered something and left.